Welcome to the True Ballers podcast. You're back. It's Chris, Abens, and Harrison. What's going on, everybody? We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be discussing your 2021 All-Stars. As Chris points to his Nets hat, will we be seeing 3 Brooklyn Nets in this year's Eastern Conference All-Star game? I hope not. But we may be. So let's get cracking. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you guys. We're not gonna talk too much about the guys. We know KD's in this game. We know Giannis is in this game. We know Embiid. We don't even know if there's a game. First of all, they might cancel this game, but we know they're on the team. Is what I'm saying. We know Bradley Beal, Kyrie, James Harden. We'll talk about all that, but we really want to focus on those guys that are maybe on the cusp of making the team, and we're going to focus on who we like to make the East and Western Conference All-Star teams that are kind of on the cusp right now that people are saying may or may not make it and why, and then we'll discuss a little bit on the other side of who we think should not make it, if that makes sense. And then we will break all that down for you guys. And yeah, it's going to be great. So I'm going to start with A-Benz. I'm gonna throw a little curveball here. Start with A-Benz. Hold on, let me switch this view. We got a weird view going. Sorry. All right. A-Benz. Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference. Who's on the cusp? Who's on the cusp? Who's gonna make the All-Star team?
Definites that are going to make it in my eyes as of today. And by the way, guys, voting ends tomorrow, February 16th for starters. So keep your eyes out. Tomorrow's the final day to vote. So I think we can all agree that there's some definites that are going to make it, as like Giannis, Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant. Those are my 3 solidified ones that are definitely going to make it, no ifs and or buts. And then we have others that we just assume are going to make it, like the Kyrie Irvings, the James Hardens. Again, the All-Star starters are fan votes. So these are the most popular players in the NBA. But on the cusp, my man from Toronto, from the 6, Fred the Man VanVleet, has been balling this year. So I got him up there. I don't have him as a starter. I got him as a reserve. So I just, the Toronto Raptors didn't get off to the best start, but they're trending up right now, and he's a big reason why. He had a career high a couple weeks back. I want to say he had, 54? He had 54 a couple weeks back. And, he's just really been balling for them. He's been the glue for them. So that's one of my surprise picks. Listen, this next one, got to put him in there because my team's been winning. Chris, I know you're not going to like this, but I'm going to try you tonight. Julius Randle. A lot of doubters in the beginning of the season. I was one of them. I didn't think he was going to fit in with what we were trying to do. But, hey, he's been more than just fitting in. He's been our torch.
So I got him. Tasmanian devil right now with that spin move.
Hey, listen, man. The spin move. Julius, keep bagging boys down and keep spinning because I got you in there as a reserve. And I think the coaches are going to vote him in. This one specifically, I really do think he's going to get voted in by the coaches. Not the All-Star votes, just because, again, that's a popularity contest. But, hey, keep doing your thing. Next one, another guard that might be on the move, actually, Zach LaVine. Now, the record doesn't show it, but come on, guys. He is a dog out there. The guy can score any way, and he's leading his team in most of all categories. But he's just, I feel like he's on the cusp of becoming a superstar in the league. He hasn't been an all-star yet, but I'll give him the nod this year, and I think the coaches are going to give him the nod as well. So I got him sneaking in as a reserve. Who I didn't see on the he doesn't have as many votes. Well, I'll pair them together. Them boys from Indiana, Sabonis and Brogdon. I don't know if they're going to make it, but for me, at least an honorable mention is just as important. So I'll throw those out there. And those are players that, I think that are on the cusp of making it or might make it, might not make it. The Celtics have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown deserves to be on it just because he's been playing for them all season. Statistically, he's their leader out there. Jason Tatum, early on, he hit, I want to say, around 2 to 3 game winners. He was our MVP pick for this season. but he hasn't really been out there. He's come back over the past 3 weeks and he's been bowling as well. So those are my sneaky possible reserves. Obviously, we know who the stars is going to be. I forgot to mention Giannis as well. Yeah, I think Giannis is definitely going to be on there.
No doubt.
Bradley Beal is another one who I think is leading the guards in voting right now as we speak. He's leading the race. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I get what you're saying for a lot of these, but I cannot bring myself to actually say that Julius Randle deserves a spot in an All-Star game.
Don't do this to yourself.
You're right. Honestly, I have too much hate in my heart, especially when it comes to Julius Randle, I suppose. But I do have to say there's a couple names that I feel like are on the outside looking in that they aren't guys that people think about or gravitate to. But I know Harry's going to love one, and this guy is. I don't have him in, but I have him on the cusp of potentially being there, and that's Chris Middleton. He definitely has regressed since we last had a good segment on him per se, but at the same time, that dude does so much for Milwaukee that goes under the radar. I don't necessarily have him in the All-Star game in my lineups, but I still think he deserves at least a mention. Another guy who just gets no love from the entirety of the NBA and is fantastic, having a great season as per usual, is Nikola Vucevic, because he is always someone that goes out there, fills up the stat sheet.
44 and 17 the other night.
Yeah, exactly. Just puts up great performances, but unfortunately he's trapped in Orlando. There's very little market presence down there that can actually make it so that he'll be someone that garners the respect that he deserves. But I do have to say the one person that I have in that I think is more on the line than other people probably would think too is I have Kyrie Irving on the line. And that's simply just because of games played. So as much as he's going to be a lock because the fans are going to vote him in, I'm not sure if after his stint away from basketball and missing a couple of games here and there, I'm not sure if he's deserving of being an all-star as of this moment. I could be wrong on it, and everyone's going to come at and say, well, how could he not be on there? And it's true. How could he not be on there? But at the same time, if we're talking about people that deserve it and have been balling out, you got to focus with all the guys that everyone mentions and knows. But I think on top of it, it's probably, again, the people that I have on the edge are Bam. I have Kyrie on the edge, Levine, Vucevic. I have Middleton on the edge, and then I even have Ben Simmons outside of it as well. So I'm a little bit hesitant on where I'm excited to see where some of these guys lay out, but I do think that Levine should be the last one in, and they do have a tie for the first one out in Vucevic and Middleton.
I like what you I like what you guys all put out there. I mean, I have no one to add from on the cusp perspective, but I will say this: I'm going to jump back to the beginning a little bit. What Aben's nominated himself, aka Freddie Van Vliet, for for All-Star for the All-Star team. There are, I think this year I read something. There's 41 players that are averaging 20 points or above this season in the NBA, which I think is an all-time high. Fred Van Vliet is not one of them. And as great of a game as he had, the 54-point game, and as great as he has been the anchor of that team and why they have played so well, undoubtedly, I cannot take that away. I don't know if 19.9 points a game, almost at 20, 19.9 points a game, 6.6 assists. I just don't know if that gets it done in today's NBA. And that's my only argument against Fred, although I will wholeheartedly admit how wrong I was when I said the Knicks should not sign him for max money, because I did say that, because that was up for discussion at the beginning of the year. I said I did not want that us to do that. I was 100% wrong on that. He has proven me so wrong. Don't even deserve to speak on his behalf in this discussion. But I still will speak on behalf of him in this discussion and say that I don't think he should be an all-star, just from a numbers perspective. And I'm going all nerdy here. And then let's talk about Julius Randle real quick. So Julius Randle, the team is what are we, 13 and 15 right now?
13 and 15.
13 and 15. Julius Randle's averaging 22.4 a game, 11 rebounds, 5.6 assists.
Come on, Chris. Those are numbers right there. And we're the 7th seed in the East.
Big numbers. are they big enough for him to be an all-star with some of the other big names there are though in the East this season?
A
That's
reserve?
that's okay. So in the front court, so let's just go through the front court real quick because that's where he would place Joel Embiid over him, Kevin Durant over him, Giannis over him. Let's see. I'm just looking at this list real quick. If Tatum, by the way, as many games he has missed a good amount of games, and that hurts him. But he is averaging
That
26 and 7, which
that
is
was for COVID reasons, though. It's not like he just decided to
yeah.
take a holiday, which
No, no,
is
no,
my
no.
only critique of Kyrie. But I love
But
Kyrie.
but in Julius's
Keep doing your thing,
defense,
Kyrie.
he hasn't taken any days off.
I agree with that.
And who else is helping him?
I
I'm saying there's help there.
Wait.
I'm saying there's help there. Obviously, there's plenty of. I mean, Derrick Rose acquisition was great, but I'm saying when Julius isn't on the floor, it seems the Knicks struggle to find scoring. It seems like they struggle to stay in games. They struggle to win games, and at the moment, they're a playoff-bound team. Unlike Zach LaVine, who we talked about, yes, he's a guard, but these are reserves that we're talking about because we all know Julius is not going to make it as a starter.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
But as a reserve, I think the coaches might give him the nod over some of the players that we mentioned,
and
because of that.
I think you're right. I think you're right because I'm looking at this list. And the next two guys who I think he's above. I think he's above are Vucevic and Jeremy Grant. Those are the two front court guys that I think you got to put Julius Randle in.
Did you mention Sabonis?
Yeah, I noticed Sabonis.
I did not mention Sabonis. Sabonis.
That would be the one caveat.
So Sabonis also having a great season. Julius Randle's numbers are better, which is crazy. Julius Randle's putting up stats. He's putting up stats, Chris.
He always puts up stats, and but
we're winning games. But we're winning games.
You're under 500.
Yeah, all right.
I get that. 500. But the little caveat is that Indiana started off really strong, and they're 14 and 13 right now. It's not like they're 20 and 7 or 20 and 8. You know, they started off really strong, and they've kind of digressed over the past month. And
as soon as that trade happened, as soon as they traded away Oladipo.
Exactly.
It's interesting. I mean, the thing is that I just think you got to remember that if you're going to do it based on stats, I'm pretty sure I can go stat for stat and show that Nikola Vucevic actually is probably more deserving.
He's close. He's very close, if not better. Yeah. No. That's one that's literally.
Well, Chris.
Same. I'm looking at their stats right now. It's very close.
Chris, you could definitely. I'll let you finish. But I just want to say you could definitely go stat for stat. But at the end of the day, you look at the record, and one's in 7th place and one isn't even in the 10th place to be in the play-in game, as Harry always says. So
love the play-in game.
So I will give you some bonus on that one because they do have a better record. They're the higher seed, barely, but hey, they still are the higher seed. But I feel the Pacers, they have more help over there as opposed to what the Knicks have. So I don't know if that changes your mind.
I love how Aben's just Kanye West.
Influences it.
He just Kanye West you.
I'm gonna let you finish. I'll allow it. So the one thing I'll say is, if that's the case you're gonna make is that it's record based, then I don't know how you keep out Middleton or Ben Simmons over Julius Randle. If you're gonna make it
Ben Simmons is a guard though. Ben Simmons is not in this discussion. I would say
I get
Middleton,
what you're saying.
Middleton, yes.
But filling out reserves, there's that side of it too. However, if you want to do it on the statistical basis, I'm pretty sure that I could argue that Vucevic and Sabonis, one thing about Sabonis is it's comparable stats, if anything. But I think that Sabonis actually plays better winning basketball in terms of just what he does on a day-to-day. I'm just telling you, if Julius Randle makes an all-star team, I don't even know what I'll do. That would just be the most absurd thing when you have such loaded talent, such loaded freaking people in this league.
Well,
Chris, I'd be shocked if he didn't make it, to be honest.
I don't want to make this.
To be honest with you.
I don't want to make this a Julius. I don't want to make this a Julius Randle thing or a Knicks thing, but I think he's deserving. You know, what is it? 4 or 5 years back, the starting 4 of the starting 5 of the starting 5 of the Atlanta Hawks made it? to the All-Star
Yes,
game?
I
I mean,
believe
come
it was
on.
that.
It
Yes,
was
back in 2015, I want to say.
something like that. It was Jeff T, Kyle Korver, all making it as
Al
All-Stars.
Horford, Paul Millsap. Yeah,
Yeah.
Paul Mills, like, you look back then and you're like, wow. I mean, who are they now? I mean, who are
yeah.
they? Are they future Hall of Famers? You
It's
know?
so crazy.
Yeah, I
It's
think the
so
problem
tough.
is though is those that team they also won that team won the offensive player of the month award. They just gave it to
Yeah,
the Atlanta
yeah.
Hawks. They said we can't pick anyone in particular. I think it was either in a January or February. I think it was the 2015 season. I could be wrong, but that was the one where they were actually the number one seed, and everyone thought DeMarre Carroll was a LeBron stopper. And as per usual, everyone was wrong because no one's a LeBron
I
stopper.
remember that.
But yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, DeMarre Carroll, he really would have made a difference in this game." And it's like, I don't think so.
Nah,
But
he just
the
got
thing
posted
to
up.
the thing to focus on here is if Julius Randle gets in, then I don't know how you're keeping what is the All Star
I'll
game
say
about?
this.
Is it about what is it about to you, Avens? Is it
To
about
me,
are you the best one of the best 12 players in that respective conference, or is it about how you perform, what you mean to your team? In which case, Van Vliet, because I think he's actually the best Toronto Raptor at this very moment, in front of Pascal Siakam, obviously ahead of Kyle Lowry because he's a little bit he's on the older side. But is it about the victory? Is it about the individual stats? Or is it about what they mean to their team individually?
what I feel it is, and let's be honest, the starters, it's a popularity contest.
Yeah.
So it's no ways to wrap your head around it. But the reserves themselves, it's a reason why the fans don't have a say in that. It's the coaches' decisions right here. With the reserves, we're talking about coach. That's why the starters are named on February 16th. And then the reserves are named for, a couple of days later because that's the coach's decision. So as a coach, they're looking at overall team success, what they mean to the team. And obviously we're going to look at the stats, but I think we're looking at team success overall and what they mean to the team. How valuable are they? And you bring up Fred VanVleet, he's up there. To be honest, if I'm being honest right now, I don't think James Harden should make it because of everything that happened. Yeah, I don't, Chris. I don't.
Oh my God.
But it's not because he's not an all-star. It's because of all the drama that went on and we lost Chris. It's because of all the drama that went on and he wasn't playing for a while, but he's going to make it and he deserves it. And Jason Tatum, because he hasn't played that much.
Look,
those are two players that, I think have been in and out. There's not a lot of consistency, but they're going to make it. But we're talking about reserves. So
yeah, yeah. Let me jump in real quick. So I hear what you're saying, Chris. I definitely think Harden. I'm a stat head. All right. So like there's two ways you could go about this, right? You could look at the stats and you could say this guy is performing the best out of anybody. And then you could look at about like kind of a Freddie VanVleet situation where it's like he's the best player on his team and he's the only reason that the Raptors are doing as well as they are as of late. I think Julius Randle actually fits both of those categories, which is why I think me and Abens feel so strongly about why he deserves to be an all-star. The Knicks, they're not 500, but they're 13-15 with a team whose oldest player is Reggie Bullock at 29, or I guess Taj Gibson now for the last few games. But he's by far the best player on the team. He's averaging 22 points, 11 rebounds per game, and almost 6 assists. And he's playing, I think he's right behind Harden in terms of minutes per game and hasn't missed a game. So to me, that is deserving of being an all-star. And that is why I think Randall is on the cusp, but he definitely should be a reserve because there's a lot of people talking about like Gordon Hayward, for example. And it's like, all right, like Gordon Hayward has been having a better season than he did last year. That does not make him an eligible all-star for this year. That's not, it doesn't correlate that way. So that's my thought on the whole thing because yeah, you could go here and just compare stats and that's not enough. You could go here and just say this player means this much to his team and that's not enough because then Jeremy Grant should definitely be an all-star too. But I don't agree with that and you look at the stats and their impact on the team and the combination I think puts Julius Randle over guys like that.
Let me ask a really serious question. what is the threshold of games played? Do you think it could be justifiably like there to say that someone should or shouldn't be in an all-star game? And we'll do it by percentages because we'll see it by percent because
I would say
that's just with all the people
75%.
missing games and having this.
I would say 75%. And COVID sucks, but like so does getting injured.
Yeah.
And when people get injured, they don't make all-star games sometimes. It happens.
Prime example, AD would probably once we get to the West, AD would probably, be a starter in the West, even though he's having a subpar season. But after this injury, they're saying he's out 2 to 3 weeks and he's missing the all-star game. So somebody's going to replace him now. So
many injuries in the West that are affecting that.
Exactly. So 100%. To answer your question, Chris, I think it's higher. It's a shortened season. 75% sounds, nice and dandy, but
that's 20. Listen, that's 24 of 28 games at this point. If we're talking about a 28, game. 22,
21, it'd be 21.
That makes mathematical sense.
Yeah, 7. I was gonna say.
All right, so I was thinking like 23, 24 games, so a little above 75.
That's what I was saying. Like I'd say from 80 to 85%. I would lean closer to 85% because it's a shortened season. If you're not playing, like some of these players that are making it have missed over 6 games. That just inflates their stats if they were killing it in the beginning of the season. If we're looking at it from a statistical standpoint. But if we're talking about someone who's playing every night, I mean, I think this is where the coaches are really going to come and really play that role, that coach role. And we're just going to have to see. As I always say, we're going to have to see. But hey, listen, Julius Randle, I like me some Zach LaVine. I don't know if he's going to get the nod, but man, Zach LaVine, man. Have you guys been seeing this guy? I mean, we haven't really talked about him.
He's still the most underrated player in maybe the NBA right now.
And there's a lot of trade talk surrounding him. There's a lot of trade talk surrounding him. So,
let's go, Nate.
I just want to toss out one quick question. Do you think, and this is just like a quick yes or no, and then we'll move on to the West. Do you believe that Zach LaVine would be in the running for most improved player?
No, because he's been good. He's been good enough. Like he's been good enough the past few years where I feel like that's just not.
Yeah.
I think he'll
thinking about
it. I think I could see him being like in the top 5 of that category. Like I think he could be in the running, but I feel like he wouldn't win.
But you know what? I could see that most improved because like I feel like he's really, prior years, he can score. We knew he can score, but now he's kind of starting to show it's consistent. And that's why it kind of reminds me of Bradley Beal, the way Bradley Beal came up. Again, he played Robin to John Wall, but once he finally got his opportunity, we see what Bradley Beal's doing. And Bradley Beal's 27, Zach LaVine is 25. They're go-getters. They get buckets, they're scorers, and they can find many ways to score the ball. So you know what, Chris? He could be up there,
I think it's tough.
I'm going to nuke my own. I'm going to nuke my own argument, and Harry, I'll let you transition us. But to give out the numbers, Zach LaVine over the last 4 years has gone from 16.7 points to 23.7 points to 25.5 points to 28.1 points. So he's been on a steady trajectory.
I feel like 16 to 23.
I'm nuking my own argument.
I feel like it's a dumb award regardless. No, not the argument. The award in general is impossible to give out. There are so many guys. Christian Wood and SGA this year.
That's tough.
Both deserve to be the most improved player at this point. So I don't really know, or at least in the conversation. Fred VanVleet deserves to be in the conversation.
And Chris, to close out this segment, I do think Chris Middleton's going to make it. I do. I might have forgot to put him in there, but there's no way he doesn't make it. He's improved his game tremendously, and I think he's the closer for the Bucks now. So.
Yeah.
Shout out Harry on that take.
Let's go on to the West. Let's go on to the West here. All right. So in the Western Conference, we got our locks. We're looking at Steph Curry is a lock. Dame Lillard is a lock. Luka Doncic is a lock. Kawhi is a lock. Jokic, from a front court perspective, is a lock. LeBron is a lock. There's a lot of, honestly, when we were looking at this before, I feel like the West has a lot more locked in place. Paul George, in my opinion, is 100% a lock. And then it gets a little dicey. So let's start there.
You didn't say Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. I didn't say Donovan Mitchell.
Tough.
Let's talk about it. Abens.
Yeah.
First of all, let me just say real quick, I'm about to put my next rent payment on the Utah Jazz winning the West. Okay, like I am fully in on the West. But let me hear your argument about Donovan Mitchell and why he deserves to be an All Star because it's tough. It is tough.
I just would like to say before I get into the whole Donovan Mitchell conversation, a couple episodes back, we specifically held it on the Utah Jazz, and there were some non-believers here. I told you they're for real. If they're healthy, I'm not reeling it
Whoa,
in.
what is this, bro? Well,
Listen,
we're
listen,
not doing
listen,
this here. No,
listen,
no.
man.
Go
Listen,
give us your reason about Mitchell.
listen.
We're
I
not
said
calling
the
out.
Utah Jazz are for real. You want to know why they're for real?
We all apologized to you on the last
Hey,
episode.
listen,
We
listen,
don't need
because
to do this again.
no, because there's a lot of people that have been coming for Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz and not believing in them. Shaq, you were wrong. Mitchell deserves to be. Yeah,
No,
Shaq. I said it, Shaq.
Shaq than a fool. He's been Shaq. Shaq has been
Yeah,
Shaq.
Shaq's been Shaq and a fool. Anyways, I think Donovan Mitchell is. We're starting to see that growth from him. We're starting to see that next level from him. We're starting to see him. He's been an all-star, I want to say. And I think we're starting to see him become that superstar. Um, and I just think that what is it over the past 20 games, they're like 17-4, which is amazing. They're number one in the West now. And Donovan Mitchell has been that leader. He's been that stronghold, and he's really been showing signs of that transition from an all-star who gets his numbers to just becoming an all-around superstar. He's doing it all. They have a really solid team. We've talked about the Utah Jazz plenty of times before. But how is he not a starter when they're the number one team in the West? I understand Curry's got the numbers, and I'll even throw Damian Lillard out there along with Mitchell because Dame always shows out when a lot of his players get hurt, and he's been balling. And I love Curry. I really do. I give him a shout out earlier this season because there was a lot of bashing on his name. And I know he's probably going to be the starter just because of the popularity again. But how is Donovan Mitchell not a starter when he's the number one? They're the number one seed in the West.
Because it's a team game. Let me put us back to what we were talking about earlier about whether it's about how good of an individual player you are versus what your impact is to your team. Because I agree with you. I think his impact to his team his impact to his team's success as of now is definitely obviously more important than any of those other guys you mentioned because of their record, right? But Benz, be honest with yourself. Put Steph Curry on the Jazz. Put Dame Lillard on the Jazz. Put Luka Doncic on the Jazz. Do you really not think that those guys could do it? I'm not saying that Donovan Mitchell has not been playing phenomenal basketball, but you're talking about three Hall of Fame point guards playing pretty much the best ball that they've played in their careers. So how is Donovan Mitchell going to start? And it's unfortunate because I agree with you that the Jazz are I think the Jazz are the most dangerous team in the league right now. If AD is as hurt as I think he might be with that Achilles, then the Jazz I think are the front runners in the West by far, in my opinion. Or the Clippers and the Jazz are both the front runners in the West. But that doesn't necessarily
Did somebody just say the Clippers?
That doesn't necessarily mean that that Donovan Mitchell should be a starter in the All-Star game because of all those other factors I just mentioned. I will say, Chris, before I pass it on to you, because I'd love your take on this. I feel like Donovan Mitchell is everything that Dennis Smith Jr. wish he could have been.
I think that is true. I think Dennis Smith Jr. at this point wishes a lot of things for himself, as well as he wishes that he still got that Rookie of the Year a couple years back anyway. So he's been wishing for a lot of things.
I'm only saying that because of our discussion earlier this
week. Oh yes, trust me, I'm with you. So the one thing I'll say is about Donovan Mitchell, I think he is a lock for being a reserve. I can't put him ahead of Steph Curry, much to what Harry said. I can't put him above Stephen Curry and Dame and the impact they have on their team. Luka is a tougher conversation to have because I think he's so young, but
he's averaging almost a triple double.
And Luka's going to do that for the rest of his career. He's a great player, but in terms of playing winning basketball, Donovan Mitchell has the whole team, the whole Utah Jazz has just bought into the
yeah.
concept, and it is beautiful to watch. Mike Conley's having a career resurgence, so I love seeing that from him. He's one of my all-time favorite guys. He just is low key a winner. He plays solid basketball. I know last year was a down one. I don't know why or what was going on per se, but I'm happy to see him balling. I think the Western Conference, though, when you look, I think there's 13 clear guys, in my opinion, that should get in. And my last person that I have getting in is Devin Booker. And I have Zion I dug into the numbers, and I can't in good conscience put Booker as a lock in because I have Zion just above him. But then right behind him is De'Aaron Fox. And I think with, like we said, the Anthony Davis injury, once you kind of get to that area, I think outside of LeBron, Jokic, Steph, Kawhi, PG, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert, and Luka, it's Zion, Book, and Fox right there, ready to take it up. Shea's close, but I just think he's a solid step behind when you look at what De'Aaron Fox has been doing and making an impact for the Sacramento Kings team too. So I got respect for all of them. That's my last in is Booker, and first out is Fox, but that's subject to change as Anthony Davis's injury happens.
It's crazy. I was gonna say too, what about on the Suns side? What about Chris Paul? Because I'm not saying this is what I'm saying right now is I'm not saying that I necessarily believe Chris Paul should be an all-star, but I'm telling you he will be an all-star this year. I 100% guarantee the leader of the Players Association, he's going to get every coach vote. He took the Suns from being, a decent maybe playoff team to potentially being like a contender this year. And
he's the Fred VanVleet leader. He is their most valuable player, not necessarily on the stat sheet, not necessarily anywhere else, but he has the most value to that team. I do agree with you. He could make it.
The difference between him and VanVleet. Yeah, and the difference between him and VanVleet is that he's Chris freaking Paul. Like he's been an all-star for the past however many seasons. He's gonna be an all-star. But yeah, I'm curious, Benz, what do you think about that?
I think he's very deserving of being an all-star because if you take Chris Paul away from the Suns, I don't even know if they're a 500 team, to be honest. I think they're subpar at best. So I would have, again, behind LeBron James, 1A to 1B, the next best NBA leader on a team has to be Chris Paul. I mean, everywhere he goes, he just makes the teams better. Now, I don't know if he's going to win in the playoffs come playoff time. But if he's healthy and he's in the game, that team's usually, on the cusp of winning the game, or they're just right there. So I think the coaches might give him that nod, but it's going to be tough. I think the West is tougher than the East only because there's so many good players out in the West. Like if we're looking at the guards, there's so many guards out there and not all of them are going to make it. Damian Lillard wasn't an all-star for years. And that's when him and Westbrook started their little rivalry. And, 5-6 years later, maybe Dame should have been the all-star from the jump. But
if CJ didn't get hurt, this would be a very tough year. It would be an extremely tough year because he was definitely gonna. Yeah.
Who do you guys have as big men possibly making the all-star team in the West?
I mean, AD is gonna make it.
But he's not gonna play, so somebody's gonna have to take his spot. So it's Jokic.
Jokic will make it.
Christian Wood possibly.
I don't.
Christian Wood hasn't played enough.
Rudy
Gobert will make it.
Gobert
will make it. Kawhi's a forward. LeBron's a forward. Zion's a big man that I think will end up getting into. So
can I throw out another front court guy? Let me throw out a front court guy that's probably going to cause some commotion. What about Brandon Ingram?
I mean, he's up there too and getting votes. But you know what the problem with the Pellies I had?
He's pretty much averaging this. He's averaging the same points as Zion, a little lower on the rebound and higher on the assist category.
But you want to know? I just don't think Zion and BI are winners yet. It's just I see them lose too many games that
totally
they shouldn't. Who did they just lose to? They lost to.
Should not be in the All-Star.
They just lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, they both should not be on the All-Star team. I'm saying if you're
the worst team in the league, by the way.
I was shocked by that. I think in our betting thing, I took the Pelicans thinking that they would actually,
I don't bet
play
on the
well.
Pellies anymore.
But I was gonna
Only on the
say,
overs and unders, guys.
why is everyone saying that Zion is an auto, or not an auto, but why is everyone saying like Zion should be an all-star this year and nobody's talking about Brandon Ingram? Like honestly, neither of them I agree should be an all-star. Especially like, we're saying Donovan Mitchell has to be an all-star. If Donovan Mitchell has to be an all-star, those guys cannot be all-stars. That's my opinion.
See,
Well,
I would
hey, listen,
think
don't. I wouldn't even put Donovan Mitchell in that category because I think Donovan Mitchell is going to
no,
be in
well,
the same regardless.
if you look at vote.nba.com, shout out. If you go to vote, it's Zion, your options like in that row are Zion, then Donovan Mitchell, then BI, because their averages are so close to each other. So that's why I'm saying, if you're saying Donovan Mitchell is a definite, Zion Williamson is a maybe, but nobody's talking about Brandon Ingram, and I'm just curious why.
I'll tell you why. Because ESPN will spoon feed us Zion Williamson
Until we die.
as much
Until
as
we
the day
die.
is long. Yeah, as much as the day is long. Like that is what will happen until death, taxes, and ESPN spoon feeding the entire public Zion Williamson highlights. He is a fun player to watch, though. I got to give him that. But at the same time, I have him as being ahead of Booker into the 11th spot, just because I do think that he makes a significant impact on the floor. He's a great player. He's a fun player to watch, and you can make the statistical argument that he is more deserving than a lot of the other guys. And it might not be about the winning mentality yet, but I mean, they're 11 and 15. They're 2 games behind the New York Knicks. So I don't know what to say.
Chris, I honestly, with the team they have, I think they should easily be over 500. I think they should easily be. I would even say top 7. I won't even say top 8. I think they could easily be top 7 in the West. I mean, let's be honest. Look who they have. They have solid centers. They have solid forwards, solid point guards in Lonzo and Bledsoe. For as much as we talk about, this and that, they're recognized players. They're not just Jabba the Hutt players like the Knicks have, Reggie Bullocks of the world. Some players that just shouldn't be playing out there. Shout out Taj Gibson to finally being back on the Knicks. But let's be honest, Taj Gibson, really? I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, you got to give the nod to Julius. We're in the playoffs. And I know it's 2 games, but hey.
I love it.
I knew I could do it. I knew I could do it.
Let me ask you guys about another player in the Western Conference. And I would have to compare him to the nicest fake Gucci bag that you could buy your girlfriend, and that is Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's averaging 21.6 and 11 a game, and they don't win games at all. But he is putting up some serious numbers that are very overlooked and not talked about because of how bad their record is.
He's also played 7 games. I mean,
yeah.
Can I take this one?
Yes, go for it.
It's quick. It's brief. It's not going to be a lot. Karl Towns, in my eyes, is one of the biggest disappointments since he got drafted. Why? Because I feel his first and second season, he was a complete dog. He was improving his game. And I know there's problems going on in his life. His mother passed away, and that's why I'm not going to bash the guy, because, that's definitely something tragic to go through. So I don't even want to talk about that, but just on court, after what Clint Capella did to him in the playoffs, and basically just shut him down, I can't give him that nod. I just feel like he's a very subpar player. Nobody really talks about him anymore. And I don't know if it's the Minnesota market. I don't know if he needs a change of scenery, but
he definitely does.
There's been such a digression in his game, in my opinion. Chris?
All right, I'm taking this one. I can't disagree with you more. This guy, when he came into the league, I couldn't disagree with you more. Like I'm gonna go. Like honestly, I was shaking my head.
Go off, King.
Here's the bottom line. Yeah, here's the bottom line. Karl Anthony Towns did not miss a game. Basically, just went through his entire career before last season and had not missed a game. He got hurt last year.
Why can't he play defense?
Here's the deal. First off, he is a person still growing into his man body. That's one thing I will say. He will get bigger. It's the same thing about Anthony Davis. Like, he came in, he was a little bit more of a string bean. He's going to grow up. and get into his man body, and they're going to put him in the gym. The thing is, no one's done the right thing and put a Steven Adams or someone next to him so that he doesn't have to take in the abuse and go down there with some of the bigger guys like Clint Capella. He should be roaming on defense. He should be playing help side. I'm not defending and saying that he's a good defender, but I'm saying you can put him in a role where he can succeed. But because he got hurt last year and was dealing with injury, and then this year catches COVID himself and has only played 7 games, I don't think the sample size is large enough to start sounding the alarms on Karl Anthony Towns. He's a tremendous player. I think he's got a ton of upside, and I am all in on this event. I will be right there.
Let me be the tiebreaker. Let me be the tiebreaker real quick. I would give up pretty much anything as a Knicks fan to get Karl Anthony Towns to New York. Besides in terms of picks,
please don't say besides Julius Randle or I'll lose it.
No, picks and Julius Randle. I would give up Julius Randle and picks for Karl Anthony Towns to play with our younger guys. The Kentucky bred, right? He played for Kentucky. I think that he would actually fit perfectly. I would love to have him on the Knicks. Then again, he does not deserve to be an all-star this year. Unfortunate with everything that happened with his family and all that aside. But
and listen, I don't want to bash the guy, but I'd
love him on the Knicks is what I'm saying.
Hey, listen, you can love him on the Knicks as well. And listen, I don't. It's not like I'm the biggest fan of Julius Randle. I said if we have a package deal for Bradley Beal and we put some picks in there, I'm doing it. All I'm saying is
I'd give up everything for Bradley, the whole team, the franchise for Bradley.
I like our little young nucleus that we have with Kenny Payne and Leon.
I would give up everything except Toppin, Barrett, Quickly, and Reggie Bullock.
but what I'm saying is I feel like there's been a lot of digression in this game. And, Jimmy Butler called him out. He's soft. Let's be honest. He's soft down low. This is the NBA, guys. Jokic would have a dance with him. AD has murdered this dude. No, not AD. AD has. Joel Embiid has murdered this dude.
They've all killed him.
Killed him. Clint Capella killed him. Clint Capella. A non-offensive threat.
He's a bad defender.
They are misusing
He's a bad defender.
He is not meant to be playing the center position. He should be a power forward. He's not meant to be playing. In general, he should. That's not fair. The one thing that's not completely fair. It's not completely fair.
He's 7 foot with a 7'5" wingspan or whatever. And
Ben, I'm gonna lay some stats out. I'm gonna lay some stats out for you. Okay. So since he got in the league in 2015-16, he went from 18 points to 25 points, 21 points, 24 points, and then 26 points last season. This season, he's only played 7 games, so we're going to just skip over that for now. But then otherwise, his numbers are there. He continues to be, he's never had less than 10 rebounds in a game. His assist numbers were up year after year after year after year, basically, or at least we're trending in that direction outside of the second to third year. And again, literally his first 3 seasons, he played all 82 games. Then 2018-19, he played 77 games. And then literally last year was the first time he's been hurt.
And I get that.
Not seen regression. And I even think that when he was on the court last year, outside of a dip in free throws, the man can ball. But I do agree with you. He should not be playing against centers like Joel Embiid, like Clint Capella, like a lot of those other big monsters that you have in the middle. He should be playing the 4. They should be doing basically what the Pelicans are trying to do for Zion Williamson, and that's get a Steven Adams, get and this is just another name, a Jonas Valanciunas, and put them in the middle, and then let this kid develop, gain more confidence, grow into his man body, and then pretty much once he's 28, and I'm pretty sure that Karl Anthony Towns is 25 now, if I'm not mistaken, but
yeah,
once he's 28, if he hits the weight room and can put on 8 pounds of muscle, I think that you're just going to see a different player completely.
But my question is, where has this been? Where has I don't see him putting work in the gym. He looks the same to me every year. He's not, I don't want to say he's chunky, but he hasn't chiseled out. And this
I'll tell you exactly who's going to be exactly like him in a few years.
But Harry, this is real quick. This is the biggest issue I have with a lot of these players that are number 1 picks or top 5 picks that come into the league, and they get to the league, they get their money. He's always on Instagram posting him and his girlfriend, Jordan Woods, one of the Kardashian friends that was messing with Tristan Thompson. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I see a lot is they get complacent. They don't want to work hard. So I can't give credit to someone who doesn't win. I don't see the results in the body. And I don't see winning. Where's the winning? Listen, if he was out there and the days he was out there, the Timberwolves are winning, I'm okay with it. Then I'd be like, yes, okay, I get it. I understand. But they're not winning. They haven't been winning. Jimmy called them out for being soft, like Sharman. I'm sorry, Chris. Until I see winning.
Jimmy Butler would say that to every single person on the planet outside of maybe 7 people.
And I get that, but he went to Miami, he went to Philly, and they shot up. They went up. They won because players bought in. Carl Anthony Towns.
They were a top seed. They were top. When Jimmy Butler was with Minnesota, they were one of the top seeds in the Western Conference.
And it's no surprise.
Until Jimmy got injured. But again, this Carl Anthony Towns hate. He had a bad year with injuries. He caught COVID. Let the guy live. Let the guy have a break this one time. One time.
I'll let you have it. I'll let him have the break.
Just one time.
The last thing I'll say about this is because I kind of agree with both of you, but a guy that I feel like reminds me just a lot of what we're seeing with Cat if he doesn't shape up quick. I think you could guess who I'm gonna say. Zion Williamson is literally following almost the exact kind of path from his rookie season onwards. He's literally hasn't even played like 80 games yet. So I don't want to go too crazy, but he can play defense, out of shape, great on the offensive side, one of the best forwards in the league from that standpoint. So Zion could be Cat in a few years is what I'm saying. But anyway, guys, let's wrap this up. It was great talking to y'all. I just sent you guys a nice screenshot. Maybe we'll put it on our IG of my starting 5 for each conference. Maybe you know what, Chris Abens, get your starting 5. Vote for your starting 5. Let's put that on the IG for our followers. And yeah, it was great talking to you guys. Make sure to follow us and keep up with our betting. Betting's getting hot. I'm about to throw down the freaking house on the Utah Jazz with real hard-earned cash that I think they could win the West. So things are getting pretty dicey. Things are getting real dicey, and we're almost at the halfway mark. Hard to believe, but it's true.
Can I give a shout out?
Every time.
I like to give a shout out to that man wearing that purple and gold. We haven't really been talking about LeBron himself a lot this year. And, as true ballers, we try to touch on the teams that nobody's talking about, like the Utah Jazzes of the world. We show the Nets some love. We show the Knicks some love. We've even shown Charlotte some love. But I got to show some love to the King. I think this is going to solidify his MVP take this season. Now that AD is going to be out for like a month and a half, maybe 2. Because, hey, as long as the Lakers make the playoffs, they're going to be a threat. But I think this is going to be a lot more on LeBron. And credit to LeBron. Prior to the season starting, we were talking about, load management was the word we were using. And we really did think, I think we all agreed that. At all. Yeah, I think we agreed that, the Lakers weren't going to get off to this hot start. They weren't going to be the number 1 team in the West or number 2. But they've proven us wrong. Their pieces have fit together. And I think LeBron just shows, again, the type of leader he is, leading that team out there, with some new pieces. And they're just playing all around solid basketball. So I want to just give a shout out to the King, year 18. Keep doing it.
I'd like to say that I had the Lakers as the best team in the league at the beginning of the season. So I did not throw shade, but I agree that I was talking about LeBron managing his load, which he has not. So
I did too. I thought there was going to be some load management. So
speaking of managing the load and whatnot, I do have to give one shout out myself to the third most important person. Let me just clarify. To the Phoenix Suns. Shout out to Kendall Jenner. Keep Devin Book's head right, Keep his head in the right spot.
That's 2 Kardashian references in one episode, guys.
Yeah, nice job, Book. Well done. You're a good man, Book. You're a good man. Keep going.
Make sure to throw them in the mentions and see if they'll follow us. But
Yeah. Also, by the way, side note, I think he's got 2 different baby mamas. So keep doing your thing, Devin Booker. You know, you've been solid, you've been playing well, and you've been keeping one lady. Keep it up.
Got us. The desert's dry, but his boys can swim.
All right, guys. With that, we will end our show. See y'all next time. Peace out.